It's the proven formula to make 2013 your best year ever, even if you're broke and a perpetual failure. So, we are going to talk about the specific proven formula that works. And it will work for you. And if you apply these steps that we're going to go through, then you will have the best 2013, your best year ever. It will be the turning point, the changing point. It will be the year you look back on as that everything completely changed for you. It'll be the year that you really grasp exactly how this business works. And you'll really grasp, how to go out and, quit your job and finally go out and get your first deal, go out and accumulate enough money so you can go out and quit your job and then live the life of freedom. This is a year where you're not going to have to worry about money. This is a year where, applying this proven formula, everything will start to go your way. And that's what we're going to talk about in this particular coaching call. And I think you're going to love it. All right, so let's get into it. Why this works. Now, I'm going to share this email with you that I got yesterday, and it was from a friend of mine. Now, you guys know Joe McCall. And what happened is he forwarded this on to me and said, hey, Sean, did you see this email from Mike Nelson? Your podcast is changing lives. Way to go, bro. Happy New Year. So I didn't see the podcast because I'm not on his email list, but here's what it says. It says, warning in the subject line, this could change your life. And it says, Happy New Year. I wish you all the best this upcoming year. Today I woke up after a long night of partying, and all I could think about was you guys. Crazy, right? I don't remember much, but I remember bringing in the new year with the hopes of helping all you succeed. Last year around this time, my life was going downhill for me. I watched around $40,000 disappear right in front of my eyes over the course of a couple months. I literally spent all of it on useless materials, useless marketing, unnecessary employees, and everything else under the sun. My business was going nowhere. We were closing deals, but I had a hard time managing money, and we were always breaking even after a couple months. So that's when I stumbled upon a podcast on 1/17/2012. How do I know this exact date? Well, it's because I wrote a letter to myself that gave me the direction in my life. This morning, I woke up and I read the letter out loud. As I read it, tears started coming down my face. Emotions ran through my body, and I had a moment where I realized that I have come a long way. This letter was dated 1/17/2013, even though I wrote the letter on 1/17/2012. As I read the letter, some of the things that I talked about were how I was able to get my finances straightened out and save money for my son's education. Another one that caught my attention was how I wanted to help people through the U.S. with real estate. Hence, here's where my blog came in. You're probably wondering why I'm telling you about this. Well, the reason being is because this little 2-page letter changed the direction of my life. I simply set goals for myself without even knowing it. I spoke things into existence, law of attraction, and it feels great. That's why I'm sending you this email on this first day of the new year, because I want to help you reach your goals, even if we never actually speak to one another. I just want you to know that I was able to share this information with you. Listen to Sean Terry's podcast here, and he has a link to going back to the podcast that I recorded last year. Write your letter as soon as we're done. If you need help, then just shoot me an email. So this was an email that was sent to Joe, and he said, let's make it 2013 amazing, Mike the Professor Nelson. So I don't know who he is. I've never met him. I've never seen his blog or whatever, but he in turn has now started a blog and has started obviously collecting emails, and then now sending these emails out to people and directing people back to the podcast that has changed his life. So we're going to talk about what exactly he's talking about and what I spoke about in that letter, and we're going to expand on it a little bit more so you guys can fully understand exactly how to apply it in your life. Now, for me, back in 2000, yeah, as you know, when I got involved in real estate in 2013, I made like 134,000 my first year. From May to December, it was phenomenal. And then, 2000, that was 2003. 2004 was great. 2005 was unbelievable. 2006 was great. Then 2007, 8, and 9 is when the market crashed here in Phoenix. It literally, there you couldn't even hear a pin drop, and that's when I came to the point where, I was like, holy cow, I've got to go get a job because I had zero cash liquidity. All the money that I made, I blew it into I put into huge land projects and stupid investments that literally went to zero. So I was at a point in 2008 where, literally I was reading the newspaper. My life was terrible. Everything sucked. I was down in the dumps, and I was just like, what am I going to do? And different courses of events. One, my father-in-law gave me a book, which I'll talk about, and two, that I tripped across this method of achieving different goals and things that I'm going to talk about. But all I know is from that point, when I started to apply what we're going to talk about today, everything completely changed. Everything completely turned around, and literally went from in the middle of a recession. Because this is recession-proof information I'm going to talk about, but in the middle of a recession, going from where everybody else is just dying on the vine, prospering immensely, and that's what this information we're going to talk about here today is about. So we're also going to talk about understand the law of attraction and how to magnetize yourself for success. Okay, law of attraction. There are different points. There's obviously the how-to application, how to market for motivated sellers, how to determine value on a property, how to go out and accomplish, not accomplish success, but how to go out and do specific things, how to write the contract. Those are how-to things. I cover a lot of that stuff in the podcast. I go in depth and detail at the Extreme Freedom Live event. I actually bring contracts on the stage and actually show, and we go and right through all the different information with everybody. It's great. So there's a lot of how-to information. But, then there's the how to magnetize yourself for success. Because, a magnet, what happens, will attract like things. Like attracts like. So what we want to do is be able to understand how we can magnetize ourselves, right? The like vibration that attracts like vibration. So the question is, how do you do that? How do you magnetize yourself? And when we go through this in the specifics, we'll talk about what it takes to understand that like vibration so you can attract what you want. Now, here's the thing. Like vibration attracts like vibration. That's basically the bottom line of the law of attraction. So what creates the vibration? The thoughts create the vibration. The thoughts create the feelings inside of us, and the feelings create the vibration. Now, have you ever heard where you have a test of where they take basketball players and they bring them to the court, and you have one group of basketball players that go out and they actually shoot baskets. They shoot free throws, they shoot three-pointers, and they actually go out and physically take action and they shoot baskets. Then group number 2 does absolutely nothing. They just sit and do nothing over the course of the time of this test. In group number 3, they sit there and do absolutely nothing physically, but what they do is mentally in their minds, they see themselves throwing the baskets, throwing the three-pointers, during the exact same time as group number 1 does, actually taking the physical action. So what was the result? The result was that group number 1, who actually took the action and threw the free throws, and group number 3, who took the mental action, had the exact same results. The exact same results. They increased their success equally. Now, the group that did absolutely nothing, they didn't visualize and just sat there, obviously they decreased and they declined, right? They failed. and the two groups that mentally and then physically did it, their results equaled. So it's the amazing thing is that our mind cannot tell the difference between what is actually happening, right, and then what we mentally imagine will happen in our minds. Okay, so how do we magnetize? Well, what we do is we hold thoughts in our mind of exactly, specifically what we want. Now, how does this apply to this letter we're talking about, right? Well, we have to feel like it's already been achieved, okay? And that's hard for people because now you're almost having to put yourself in a state to where it's already been accomplished, right? You already have to know it's already been done. You have to put yourself like it's already been done, it's already been achieved, okay? And you have to feel like it's already done, you know? So let's talk about this letter. Now, I tripped across a blog post from John Carlton, who is a copywriter, highly successful, has made hundreds of millions of dollars in the marketing business. And I tripped across it several years ago. This was 2010 for my 2000, wait a minute, I did it for my 2011 goal, and I did it for my 2012 goal, which is just a recent one. So basically what this letter is basically you write a letter to yourself as if it's January 2nd, 2014. Okay? So what John Carlton was saying is that what he would do is that when you set a goal, right, typically we go out and say, I want to go achieve X by X date. So what we're doing is we're going out and chasing that goal. We're going after that goal. We're pursuing that goal. And what happens is we go out and we struggle, and we put forth effort, we put forth energy, and we go out and we work hard to go out and accomplish a specific goal. Okay? Now, when you do that, when you put that energy or that frustration or that, you know, that you're putting that energy out, what happens is you have sometimes a negative feeling, and that negative feeling is pushing you away from the goal. And the best way I can explain it is this, is if you have a placid lake, right? I grew up on Lake Champlain back in Vermont, right? And in the mornings around 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, the lake would be so placid, I would take a rock and I could skip it across the lake, and it would just go, it would just skip right across the lake. But if you take a placid lake early in the morning, there's not a ripple, nothing in that lake, and you put a beach ball, a lightweight beach ball in that lake, and your objective is to capture that or grab that beach ball, right? Well, what you can do is and you have to do it in a specific time frame, and you have to do it as fast as possible. What happens is people jump in the lake and they start kicking and splashing and moving and jumping and moving toward this ball, right? And what happens, the ripple effect will push the ball further away, right? So it pushes the ball away. So we're trying to go out and accomplish this great thing. We're trying to accomplish the goal, whatever it might be, and we put all the effort and energy and everything. We push the ball away, and we're wondering why we can't achieve our goals. Well, what if there's another way? You know, what if there was a way to, instead of jumping in, but going in and having that ball kind of move toward you using maybe the wind or the current, or, you know, whatever outside means, or law of attraction or universal intelligence, to basically push that ball toward us. So what this does is, when you write this letter as if it's January 2nd, 2014, what you're doing is you're putting yourself in a state as if it's already there. So take 1 hour and put yourself mentally 12 months ahead. So how do you do this, right? So think of it right now, a year later, right? It's New Year's Day is over, you did whatever you did, you know, and now it's 2014, 12 months ahead. 12 months ahead. Well, what you want to do is write yourself a letter journaling everything that has happened in the past. Okay? I'll give you an example. So let's put ourselves ahead in 2014. Okay, it's January 2nd, 2014, not 2013, 2014. And what we're writing is a letter to ourselves of everything that happened in 2013. And we're going to write, holy cow, what an incredible year. This was the best year of my entire life. And this is what happened. And what you're doing is you're writing yourself a letter of everything that happened in 2013. Okay? And everything that happened could be physical, right? Physical things like family, financial, health, money, right? Anything that has happened, you can write about. Well, what if you're 30 pounds overweight? Right? Then you can say, hey, oh my gosh, you know what? I started working out. I started eating better. It was incredible. By this time in July, I felt better than I've ever felt before. What about financially? Financially could be, oh my gosh, I have made X amount of dollars. It has to be specific as possible. The exact dollar amount, the exact weight, the exact plans with dates. Okay? So you write yourself a letter and be specific. And say, holy cow, this is the best year of life. I made X amount of dollars this year. It could be, $100,000 or $120,000 this year. Now, here's the thing that I found out about this. My biggest problem doing this. The biggest problem so far for me doing this is that I'm realistic. Okay? I did this in 2010, at the end of January 2000, I basically did it in January 2011 for January 2012, which is now. And then I did in January 2012 for January 2013, which is now. Okay, so I've done it twice. The first time I did it, my income goal was in like $50. It was in with like a couple bucks, and we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. My income goal was in the couple bucks. Now, this one recently, was in like $10,000. I mean, of hundreds of millions of dollars, right? It was in $10,000, within $10,000. So the bottom line is that what I have realized doing this is that take what your number is and double and triple it. Take what your goals. Now, here's the thing, is that when I sat down in 2012, January in 2012, 2012, and I wrote out my letter to myself, right? I said, oh my gosh, this is going to be an incredible year. This is what happened, this will happen, this will happen. I've accomplished everything but two things on the list. And those two things I was ready to go, but I decided not to do them because they're going to bring me in a different direction I didn't want to do. But everything on my list I've accomplished so far. And things just line up for some reasons. They just line up. It's the law of attraction. Things are now attracted. The beach ball is now coming to you. Instead of you chasing the beach ball, I've got to accomplish this goal, this is where now the beach ball now, right when you're sitting there, the beach ball's in the middle of the lake, right? And you're going, how the heck is this beach ball going to come toward me? And then a gust of wind comes or a wave comes or something happens. The next thing you know, the ball's coming toward you. That's what happens. Amazing things start lining up. When I wrote my letter on January 2012, and I wrote it for a year later, right? So it was 2013 letter, but when I wrote it in January 2012, when I wrote that letter, I remember thinking, holy cow, I have no idea how that's going to happen. I didn't know how it was going to happen. I didn't have specifics in exactly how it was going to happen. I didn't know exactly where the money was going to come from. I didn't know how it was going to come in. I didn't know what was going to happen. I just wrote the letter, and my biggest mistake is I shot too low. I should have tripled or 5 times it, right? That's what I'm doing this year. The letter, and I haven't wrote my letter yet. I'll be writing it this week. But when I write my letter, man, I'm telling you, I'm going to triple it or 5 times it, 5x it, because my biggest mistake is I shot too low. So be specific as possible, exact dollar amount, exact weight, exact plans and dates. Okay? And when you do that, it's for an example. I wrote in my letter last year that we were going to go on a Disney cruise sometime in May. Okay, I said May. I think it was like May. When I say it was like May 12th, right? I didn't talk to my wife about it. I didn't talk about my kids about it. I just know that I wanted to go on a Disney cruise. Now, I first initially brought it up. I think it was like in March or sometime. I said, "Man, we should go on a Disney cruise and let's start looking into it." And my wife's like, "Oh, no way. We're not going to go on a Disney cruise. We got this going on. We got this going on. We got that going on. We've got dance. We got this. We can't do it. We just, da da da." I was like, okay, so, and I started putting it out there. I was like, come on, we got to go on a Disney cruise. We got to do it. And then all of a sudden, things just started lining up. The dance thing got moved. The other thing changed. Whatever, happened. And then boom, guess what? We went on a exotic Disney cruise to the Bahamas. And it was unbelievable. It was a first-class trip. It was just amazing. Now, when I wrote that letter in January that I was going to go in May, I had no idea how it was going to happen. I didn't know when. I didn't talk to anybody else about it. I just said this is what I wanted to do, and everything just lined up. How? I don't know. And when I talked about monetarily and financially, I wrote a goal down, and I would give well over 6 figures to church this year in 2012. That was one of my goals. And I remember writing it down and go, holy cow, that amount of money I'm going to give away, 96% of the American population does not even make the amount of money that I want to give away. And that's what I was thinking to myself when I wrote the letter. I wrote the letter and go, holy cow, this is how much I want to give? There is no way. That is crazy that I want to give that much. And that's what I wrote down as a goal. I gave that amount and exceeded it, amazingly enough, to church and tithing, which is, let's put it this way. I'm not bragging because it's not me. I'm telling you, it's divine intervention, and it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And I'm completely 100% humbled to the fact that, it's amazing how things happen. So the bottom line, be specific. Read this letter when you wake up, first thing in the morning, and right before bed. So when you wake up in the morning, read your letter, and when you go to bed, right before you go to bed, read your letter. Now remember, it's you writing a letter to yourself in January, and you're documented in January 2nd, 2014, and you're documenting everything that happened for the year in 2013. Everything that happened that you want to happen. And like I said, amazing things will line up. Now, I'm going to give you an example letter at flip2freedom.com/2013 letter. I haven't posted it yet, but it'll be posted by the time we put this up in the academy for download to watch again. So it'll be up tomorrow, January 3rd. So flip2freedom.com 2013 letter. I'm going to give you an example letter, something you can kind of follow to what this kind of letter should look like. Okay? That's flip2freedom.com/2013 letter. All right. Now we're going to talk about behavioral congruencies. Behavioral congruencies. So what the heck is a behavioral congruency? And here's the best way to explain it. If we, all of us, wanted to learn how to become an exceptional golfer, a great golfer, and we had Rory McIlroy, right? Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, who else? Who else is a good golfer? What's his name? Ian Poulter, right? And let's say we had these 4 guys, and we brought these guys into a room, and we examined all their behaviors. When do they wake up in the morning? What time, when do they practice? How many balls do they hit? What type of, maybe clubs that they use? What type of breakfast do they eat? What are the thoughts that they think, right? What do they think about before they hit the ball? What type of workout routines that they do for their physical, for their workout? So what happens is you write all these consistent behavioral congruencies. That means all these are congruent behaviors. And what you do is you look at between all these, between Rory McIlroy, Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, and Ian Poulter, you look at all of these, which are high-ranked, multi-million-dollar golfers, and you look at all the behavioral congruencies that are the same. So maybe they all wake up at 6:30. Maybe they all drink a special, juice, right, whatever it is, that gives them ultimate energy. Maybe they all get B12 injections. I don't know. So maybe they get, maybe they all, practice at a certain time or hit a certain amount of balls. They're all going to have a behavioral congruency. And the bottom line is this. If we could take the 2 or 3 or 4 behavioral congruencies out of the top golfers and we can apply it in our life, our success, if applied, is inevitable. Okay? Now, with golf, there is a certain talent. In real estate investing, it doesn't matter your talent. It doesn't matter where you've come from. It doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter if you have a college education. It doesn't matter if you're smart or stupid because, hey, you know what I mean? I'm not the smartest tool in the shed at all. Tool in the toolbox. It doesn't matter where you've come from. If you apply the behavioral congruencies of successful wholesalers or successful real estate investors or successful students, and you apply those in your life, your success is inevitable. Okay, so let's talk about them. What are the top 3 behavioral congruencies that you can apply in your life in 2013 to make it the absolute best? Number 1 is wake up early and focus. Number 2 is the use of lists. And number 3, the application of spiritual laws. Okay, so let's get into it. Wake up early and focus. Wake up at least an hour before everybody else. Okay, wake up before everybody else, and this is your time, quiet time, to focus. Okay, and you're going to focus on everything that you appreciate and love. That is a behavioral congruency. Meaning, you wake up early and focus on everything you appreciate and love. This would be a time where you read your letter to yourself. This would be a time, and I'm going to give you some tools at the end that I use that really help me keep faith and keep focused. But this is where you're going to focus. I mean, I pray in the morning, and I pray, and I reflect, right? I plan my day of what's going to happen today, set the expectation what's going to happen for the day, and I use my lists, which we'll get into in a second, on the list that I want to accomplish. So what I do is I'll read my letter, I'll pray and focus, right? And I'll plan my day of what's going to happen for this day. Now, using of lists. Write a list of your major projects that align with your 2014 letter. So on your 2014 letter, you're going to have, accomplish X amount of money, or you want to do this, and you want to do that, or you want to do this, or you want to do that. Things that you want to do, be, or have. Okay? So those are going to be maybe major projects on there. Like one of the projects might be, okay, I want to have my website built. I want to have my AdWords campaign set up so I start getting traffic. I want to be able to send, I want to ramp it up to where I can send, 20,000 mailers at a time, right? Maybe, might be more or less. So what happens is what you can do is take those projects and break them down, the major projects, into daily tasks. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a major project, and that major project is going to have certain daily tasks that can be accomplished that's going to move you toward your goal. Okay? It's almost like everyone's heard the whole thing. If you want to eat an elephant, you got to take it one bite at a time. If you want to, a trip of 1,000 miles or whatever, you got to take, one step at a time. So that's what it is. It's the 1,000 miles, or the elephant is the project, and the bite is the list that you do, the daily task list. And then commit to complete at least 3 daily tasks per day. Okay? So 3. All you do is, okay, today I want to accomplish 3 things, and here's going to get you to your goal. If you do that, you will proceed toward your goals. Now, talking about applying spiritual laws. This is a behavioral congruency. If you're having problem with money, I just did a survey, and I'm in the process of doing a survey. If you're on our email list, which I'm sure you are, you got a survey, and one of the questions is on there is, what do you worry about most, right? And I'm giving away 3 iPads there. So, and the thing is, what do you worry about most? And would you believe that probably 75 to 80% of the responses is money? 75 to 80% of the responses, and I've had thousands and thousands of responses, 75 to 80% of responses is people are worried about their finances, about money, about paying the bills, about retirement, about putting their kids through school, about putting braces on their kids, about paying the bills, about getting out of debt. It's all revolved around money. And see, here's the deal. And I'll get back to my story back in 2008. 2008 was very, very, very rough for me financially because I believe in tithing, 100%. I believe in tithing. But what happened is I wasn't committed to it in a way to where I would tithe only if I had enough money, or to pay the bills. So what happened was I got myself in a situation where I had, more bills than I had money. So then guess what got on the chopping block? Tithing. So I stopped tithing. I stopped giving. And I didn't make that a priority. I didn't make that a behavioral congruency. I said, okay, I'm going to eliminate the one thing. I'm going to eliminate that in my life. And things financially went downhill bad. I mean, real bad. To the point where I had a guy on a Monday morning knock on my door, and he was there to repossess my car in 2008. I had all the money that I made in 2005 and stuff. It was all put in the land and other investment projects, and I had zero liquidity. I wasn't making any money. I was robbing Peter to pay Paul. I was struggling bad, and life sucked. And my father-in-law, Wes, gave me a book. It was the 4 Spiritual Laws of Success. I think you can just search it in Amazon, 4 Spiritual Laws of Success. And the first chapter that was about 40 pages long talked about, it's a really easy read, about tithing. And it literally hit me right between the eyes. It says if your life sucks financially, you're not tithing. And see, you might be listening to this right now and you're going, hey, I'm going to do the list. I'm going to write the list. I'm going to do this. I'm going to wake up early. I'm going to focus. I'm going to write my letter. But you're going to leave this one behavioral congruency out. And that is the one thing that's going to stop you from financially succeeding where you want to be. Trust me. It's amazing that literally it changed to where my first tithe after reading that book was $200. The first tithe that I did after reading that book was $200. $200. Now I tithe 5 figures a month. A month. I mean, if I told you how much you drop, you wouldn't believe me. So I didn't want to tell you. So a month. And it grew from there. In a recession, against the grain, people thought I was crazy. I did it anyways because I made a commitment. So if you're not doing this one thing, and how many times, it's like, it's amazing because we were at the Dallas event in Extreme Freedom, and I had people come up across the stage and kind of tell their story. And the behavioral congruency from every single person that sat on that stage, a guy named Luis, he got up there, and he made $90,000 in a month, right? The month prior to coming to the event. $90,000, right? I think he's like 26 or 27. In a month, $90,000. And I said, so, what are some of the things you apply in your life? And the number one thing he said, he tithes. I got Philly Mike that went up there. He got up on stage, and he had I think it was like a $46,000 month the month prior. he got up there and said, tithe. I think he's had over $100,000 a month recently. That means he's made over $100,000 in 1 month. Okay, so I'm telling you this, and because I believe it's 100% incredibly important. If your 2012 sucked financially, then this is something that you can apply, and you will see results, amazing, amazing results. This alone will make your 2013 unbelievable. I promise you that. Now, have undying faith. Because what happens is that we're going to be sitting down, we're going to be doing our bills, and we're going to be, oh, I got to pay the electric bill, I got to pay the house payment, I got to pay the car payment, I got to pay the the television, whatever, oh my gosh, and you're going to be looking, and there's going to seem like there's not enough money, and then you're going to come to a decision point, right, where you're going to go, okay, do I do this or do I tithe? Because you're supposed to tithe right off the top, no matter what, and then pay everything else. But you're going to come down to a decision point, should I tithe 10% or not? And you're either making that decision on fear or faith. If you make a decision not to tithe, then you are having a vibrational, like we talked in the beginning, of fear. And a vibration of fear attracts poverty. If you have faith and you make a decision based upon faith, then guess what? Things will line up for you that are unexplainable. Faith is not explainable. Okay? You can't explain faith. Either you have it or you don't. And it's a muscle you have to exercise. Okay? So maybe this will help you. Malachi 3:10. Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. Test me in this, says the Lord Almighty, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that there will not be room enough to store it. Okay? So what he's saying is this, he's like, test me. Okay? You're going to be sitting there with your checkbook going through the bills, and you're going to have a decision of fear or faith, and he's saying, listen, it's a promise in the Bible. If you test me and you have faith and you tithe, because it's going to happen, trust me. You're going to be at that situation. You're going to be at that decision point, and I want you to think of me, because you're going to either test him and things are going to change. Now, your attitude. Always focus on what is working or what you love. There is no way, in when it talks about behavioral congruency, successful people don't focus on the negative. Successful people don't focus on what's not working. Successful people don't focus on and complain. Successful people don't go to their workplace and sit by the water cooler and talk about how everything sucks. Okay? Successful people don't do that. So if you want to make your 2013 phenomenal, right? Start focusing on what is working in what you love. The highest vibration that you can attract into your life, right, is love and appreciation. If it feels bad, it's an indicator to change your thoughts. So for an example, let's say you're thinking about, oh my gosh, what if I don't have enough money for this, and I can't pay for that, and I can't pay for this. And what happens is you're going to get a bad gut feeling, almost like a stomach wrenching, like feeling in your gut. That's an indicator. That's your indicator. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, I got to change my thoughts, and I have to focus on what I love and what is working. And that will change your vibrational attraction point, your magnetism, right? To magnetize yourself. That will change that, where then now you'll start attracting. It's the base, it's law of attraction. Now here's the deal. I'm showing you this, right? And this is what I apply in my life. And it works. But the bottom line is, you have to make a decision to apply these principles. And you can make a decision being saying, okay, right now you might be listening to this. And you go, I am going to decide to do this. I'm going to do it. But along with the decision comes a commitment. And what I've seen is this, is that there are people that will decide to do it. I'm going to decide to do it. And then the commitment isn't there. Just like working out. Okay, I'm going to start working out. It's the new year. I'm going to lose some weight. I'm going to feel great. I'm going to start working out. And then what happens? Mid-February, you're just like, I'm just too busy. I got to do this. I got to do that. And what happens? Drop the ball. That's why most people aren't successful. And that could apply in your health, working out, and in the compliant business. So you might go, oh my gosh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be successful. And then you might stop reading your letter in the morning. You might stop waking up early. And you say, well, maybe I won't tie this month, and I'll do next month. So with the decision comes a commitment. And what's a commitment? I mean, a commitment is, I'm going to do it no matter what, at all costs. I don't care. I am going to make it happen no matter what. Do you realize there's a difference between a commitment level of a successful person versus a commitment level of a failure? There is a different commitment level. There's a weak commitment level from someone who's a failure. I'm going to try it, and as soon as they hit the first obstacle, they quit. Or I'm going to try it, and the commitment level of a successful person says, I'm going to try it. I don't care what obstacle comes up. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to become successful. I'm going to make it happen. They don't care what people say. They don't care what people do. Whatever. It doesn't matter. They're not influenced by their friends, family, relatives, coworkers, everybody they know that tells them they're crazy. They're going to go out and they're going to make it happen no matter what. Now, for me, when I first started, I went to my father-in-law. Was a great guy. Obviously, he's done a lot of things. But the bottom line is that when I told him that I was going to get a property under contract and I was going to turn around and sell it before I had to close, and I could make the spread in between, he said it wouldn't work. He said, you can't sell a property you don't own. If I would have listened to him, I made a decision I wanted to do it, but then I had a commitment level. And if I would listen to him, it doesn't work, I guess. Would I have ever reached success? No. I would have listened to other people's opinions. There are people listening to this right now that put more weight on other people's opinions. And here's the thing. How big's their bank account? How big's their stack? If you get multimillionaires telling you whatever, then listen to them. If they're sitting there and it's your roommate or it's your coworker at work, whatever, and he drives a Honda that's beat up, and you're taking his opinion, forget about it. I mean, think about it. In Think and Grow Rich, Think and Grow Rich talks about other people's opinions, how not to be affected by other people's opinions. And that's the bottom line. So we're either going to have a weak commitment or we're going to have a strong commitment. And a strong commitment says that I will never, ever, ever, ever give up no matter what. No matter what. So what type of resolve do you have to achieve your goals? I can't make that commitment for you. I can't make a commitment for you. It's something that you have to do internally. You have to want it. I mean, think about it. You know what? A lot of people listening to this, maybe you have, you're working a job. You're making a good, comfortable income. Maybe you're making $30,000 to $60,000 a year, right? You make a good, comfortable income. Maybe you have a house, a nice car. And amongst your friends, you're doing pretty good. Amongst all your high school friends, you're doing pretty good. But something's burning inside of you to be more and do more. See, if you hang out with some of the people I hang out with, you're going, I suck. That's what I go, man, I suck. I got to get to work. Because there is a big difference between $100,000 a year and $100,000 a month. There's a big difference between 50,000 a year and 50,000 a month. It will change your lifestyle. So the question is, how bad do you want to leave a legacy for your kids? What do you, I mean, who wants to, why? Why are you doing this? So figure out that letter, figure out what you want your 2013 to be, and then crush it. Whatever it takes, make it happen. Now, here's some tools. You can download the worksheet I have, flip2freedom.com, 2000 letter. I'll have it up tomorrow, January 3rd, 2013, for you so you can use it. And here's a couple apps that I reference to every day. One is Jesus Calling. You can search. I don't know if it's an Android app. I know it's an iPhone app because I have an iPhone. But Jesus Calling, search that one. That's a great app. Read it every single morning like clockwork. That one app will help you build your faith muscle. Now, you might be Christian or not Christian or believe in whatever you're going to believe or whatever the case may be, but I don't know. For me, I mean, I needed to build my faith muscle because I had weak faith, and that helped me build my faith muscle. Also, get Money and the Law of Attraction by Jerry and Esther Hicks. It's an app, Money and the Law of Attraction. It's like a deck of cards that will have different things that, you can shuffle them and things will come up and it'll be amazing. What was the one today? Oh, I think I read it on my iPad. So get that. It's a really good app. And the other one is Eric Thomas. Okay, Eric Thomas is the hip hop preacher. He has a great app. He comes out every single Monday. Thank God it's Monday, and puts out some great motivational stuff. And the other one is lists or reminders. You can use lists or reminders to help you organize your lists of what you want to accomplish, and stuff like that. So those are some tools that you can use. Okay. So now, my prayer for you. I want you to know that every morning when I wake up, I pray for everybody that is in the Flip to Freedom Academy. I pray for everybody who listens to my podcast. I pray for your success. I pray for your tenacity. I pray for your belief. Because if you knew that you could accomplish this, if you knew that you could change your life, if you knew that you had a belief inside you, then guess what? You would pursue it with relentless tenacity per pursuit. If you knew it could happen. So part of doing this is to instill a belief in you that you can do it. Okay? And I know if I pray for you every single day, then guess what? Then there's more than me that's in your corner. Okay? Because I know that you can do it. I believe in you, and maybe no one else does believe it. Maybe you're alone. Maybe you're, everybody else thinks you're crazy for doing it, and you just have to stay in line. My daughter was watching the one with the ant. I don't know what it's called, ants or whatever that thing. But guess what? All these ants are in a line. They're workers. They're going out. They're grabbing the grain, and they're bringing it back, and they're all standing in line, and they're bringing it, and they're dumping it, and then they're going back in line. And holy cow, if you get out of line, you start freaking out. Right? Maybe everybody wants you to stay in line, because if you go become successful, guess how they're going to feel? They're going to feel like failures. I know if you apply this proven formula, you will make 2013 your best year ever. Apply it, focus on it, write your letter, apply the behavioral congruencies. In this time next year, I guarantee there will be a massive, massive difference in your life, just like that email the guy sent. I know it changed my life, and I know it will change your life. Just put forth the effort, focus, stay consistent, have tenacity, believe in yourself, because I believe in you, and have faith.